In the vast emptiness of space, where silence ruled and stars blinked like distant memories, the Stellaris VII drifted. Its shiny metallic hull reflected the cold light of a nearby nebula, creating a glowing effect that seemed to pulse with life. Inside, five astronauts, the pride of humanity's space program, slept in cryogenic pods, unaware of the cosmic events happening around them. Captain James Holloway's eyes slowly opened first, his mind piecing itself back together like a puzzle of memories and feelings. The low hum of the ship's systems filled his ears, a comforting reminder of the technology keeping them alive in the cold emptiness of space. As he sat up, the cryopod's cover slid away with a soft hiss, and James felt a strange tingling at the base of his skull, a feeling he couldn't quite explain. Systems check, he croaked, his voice hoarse from not being used. The ship's AI responded right away, its calm, soothing voice echoing through the room. All systems nominal, Captain Holloway. Current location unknown. Time elapsed since departure 2,749 days. James froze, his hand hovering over the release mechanism for the next pod. Unknown location. Clarify. Unable to identify current stellar positioning. No recognizable star patterns detected within range. A cold dread settled in James's stomach as he quickly moved to wake the rest of his crew. One by one, they woke up from their long sleep. Dr. Clara Chen, the brilliant astrophysicist whose theories had made this mission possible, Major Alexander Volkov, the calm pilot who had guided them through the early stages of their journey, Dr. Emilio Okafor, the exobiologist whose eyes sparkled with the hope of finding new life, and finally, Engineer Hiroshi Tanaka, whose clever designs had kept the Stellaris VI running for years beyond what was expected. As the crew gathered in the ship's command center, a tense silence fell over them. The view screens that usually showed familiar constellations now displayed only an inky blackness, dotted with unfamiliar points of light. "This is impossible," Clara muttered, her fingers flying over the holographic displays. "We've only been in stasis for 7.5 years. Even with the effects of traveling at high speeds, we shouldn't be far enough to lose all familiar reference points." Alexander leaned forward, his brow furrowed. Could it be a malfunction in the navigation systems? Hiroshi shook his head, his usually calm face showing signs of worry. "I've run diagnostics 3 times. Everything is working perfectly. We're just lost." Amelia, always the optimist, tried to offer some hope. "Maybe we've made a groundbreaking discovery. We could be the first humans to reach a completely unexplored part of space." James wished he could share her excitement, but years of being in command had taught him to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. "All right, team. We need to figure out where we are and how we got here. Clara, I want you to work on identifying any recognizable celestial bodies. Alexander, review our flight path and see if you can find where we might have gone off course. Hiroshi, run a full systems check. I want to know if anything unusual happened while we were in stasis. Amelia, get the deep space scanners ready. If we're in an unknown area, we need to know what's out there." As the crew went to their tasks, James felt that strange tingling at the base of his skull again. He rubbed the spot absent-mindedly, trying to shake off the feeling that something important had changed not just around them, but inside them. Hours passed, stretching into days as the crew of the Stellaris VI tried to figure out their situation. Sleep was hard to come by, haunted by dreams of endless darkness and faint voices calling from just out of reach. James found himself spending more and more time in the observation deck, staring out at the unfamiliar stars, looking for any sign of home. It was during one of these moments that Clara burst into the room, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and excitement. "James, you need to see this." He followed her to the lab, where the rest of the crew had already gathered. On the main screen, a swirling mass of color and light pulsed and shifted, unlike anything they had ever seen before. "What am I looking at?" James asked, his voice barely a whisper. Clara's hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the image. "It's there." Well, we're not entirely sure, but it seems to be some kind of spatial anomaly. It's huge and it's right in front of us. Alexander pointed to a series of readings scrolling across a secondary screen. Our instruments are going crazy. Gravitational fields, radiation levels, even the flow of time, everything is distorted around this thing. Amelia leaned in, curiosity overpowering her fear. It's beautiful, like a living kaleidoscope. Hiroshi, ever practical, asked the question they were all thinking. Could this be what pulled us off course? James studied the swirling anomaly, feeling a strange pull not just physically but somewhere deep in his mind. That tingling sensation returned, stronger now, almost like a voice whispering words he couldn't quite understand. We need to investigate, he said finally, his mind made up. Prepare the shuttle. We're going in. The next few hours were filled with activity as the crew got ready for their mission into the unknown. They put on their advanced spacesuits, amazing pieces of technology designed to protect them in the harshest environments. But as they stood in the airlock facing the shimmering anomaly that filled their view, James couldn't shake the feeling that they were like kids playing at being explorers, about to step into a world beyond their understanding. Remember, he said, his voice steady despite the nervousness in his hands, we stick together. Any sign of danger and we pull back immediately. Got it? The others nodded, their faces showing a mix of determination and fear. With a deep breath, James opened the airlock, and they pushed off toward the swirling vortex of light and color. As they got closer, the anomaly seemed to react to their presence. Tendrils of energy reached out, touching their suits with an almost gentle touch. The tingling in James's mind grew stronger, and he could see from the others' expressions that they felt it too. It's singing, Amelia whispered, her voice filled with wonder. Can you hear it? Before anyone could answer, a pulse of energy washed over them. James felt a moment of dizziness, as if the universe itself had skipped a beat. When his vision cleared, he gasped. The empty void of space was gone. Their ship was gone too, their link to the world they knew. Instead, they floated in a place that felt like a dream. Colors danced around them, taking on shapes that were impossible to describe. The rules of physics seemed to be just suggestions here as things appeared and disappeared, changing with the fluidity of a dream. What? What is this place? Alexander breathed, his usual calm shattered by the sheer impossibility of what they were seeing. Clara laughed, a sound of pure joy that seemed to ripple through this strange new world. It's it's everything. Every theory, every idea about other dimensions and parallel universes, it's all here. As they drifted through this amazing place, James felt something changing. His suit, once a piece of advanced technology, now shimmered and shifted. He looked down to find himself wearing overalls covered in patches of bright yellow stars. His helmet had turned into a crown made of paper and glue, sparkling with glitter that reflected the swirling galaxies around them. He turned to his crew only to find them changed too. They were no longer astronauts but children, their adult forms gone, revealing the curious explorers they had always been deep down. Remember, a voice whispered, or was it the wind? Or a long forgotten lullaby? To see, you must dream. And dream they did. With the imagination of children, they began to shape the world around them. Hiroshi, always the builder, created fantastic machines that broke all the rules of engineering. Amelia brought to life creatures from her wildest dreams. Clara formed entire universes with equations that danced like fireflies around her head. Alexander, the serious pilot, found himself laughing as he made roller coasters that looped through stars and dove into black holes. And James remembered a cardboard box from his childhood, a simple thing that had been a pirate ship, a race car, a spaceship, and anything else his young mind could imagine. With a thought, the box appeared before him, floating in the colorful expanse. He laughed, and with that laughter, the cardboard became real, a ship of wonder capable of anything. All aboard, he called out, his voice filled with both the authority of a captain and the excitement of a child setting out on a great adventure. As his crew, his friends, his fellow dreamers climbed into the magical vessel, James felt an incredible sense of joy and possibility. They had left behind the limits of their adult world, with its strict rules and narrow ideas of reality. Here, in this world shaped by imagination, they were truly free. The box turned ship sailed on an ocean of spilled milk, with giant foamy waves rising like breathing clouds. Each ripple carried echoes of bedtime stories, tales of brave knights, enchanted forests, and talking animals. The ocean led them to a forest made of crayon drawings, where the trees were tall candy canes humming with the sound of forgotten nursery rhymes. As they explored this wonderland, James marveled at the changes in his crew. Clara, once so focused on hard facts and data, now told stories of magical kingdoms with the skill of a master storyteller. Alexander, who had always been so serious, built castles in the air with pure joy. Amelia's scientific curiosity had become a love for the strange and beautiful creatures of this realm, and Hiroshi, the practical engineer, now created impossible machines powered by laughter and starlight. Yet, even as they enjoyed this world of endless possibilities, a small voice in the back of James's mind warned him. They were explorers, scientists, adults with responsibilities and a mission. Could they afford to lose themselves in this amazing dream? As if answering his unspoken question, the world around them shimmered, showing glimpses of the cold, star-filled space they had left. For a moment, James saw their ship, the Stellaris VII, floating alone in the vastness of space. The sight brought a pang of longing to his heart, a reminder of the world they had left behind. But then Clara's hand found his, her touch warm and comforting. Look, she said, pointing to the horizon where new wonders were taking shape. We've only just begun to explore. James nodded, pushing aside his doubts for now. They were the children of the abyss, explorers in a world beyond imagination, and their greatest adventure was only just beginning. The days passed like a vivid dream. The crew of the Stellaris VII, now calling themselves the children of the abyss, enjoyed their new freedom. In this strange place there was no day or night, only endless swirling colors and changing landscapes. They were explorers of a world without rules, where imagination and reality blended together. One day, as they sailed their cardboard ship across a sky filled with upside-down rainbows and floating islands, Hiroshi pointed to the horizon. Look over there, he said, his voice filled with a mix of wonder and curiosity. In the distance, they saw a towering structure that seemed to shimmer between solid and transparent, like a mirage. James felt a shiver run down his spine. What do you think it is? He asked, turning to Clara, whose eyes were already wide with excitement. I don't know, she admitted, tapping her fingers as if she were trying to solve a puzzle. But I think we should find out. They sailed toward the mysterious structure, and as they got closer, its details became clearer. It was a castle made of light and glass, with towers that reached high into the colorful sky. It looked both ancient and brand new, like something out of a fairy tale. It's beautiful, Amelia whispered, her eyes shining. Do you think anyone lives here? Alexander, always cautious, frowned. We should be careful. We don't know anything about this place or what could be waiting for us inside. James nodded in agreement. Alexander's right. We go in, but we stay together. No one wanders off. We don't know what we're dealing with here. They anchored their ship by the shore of a shimmering lake that surrounded the castle. As they stepped out of the cardboard ship, their feet touched soft, spongy ground that felt like walking on a cloud. James couldn't help but smile as he watched his crew, his friends, move toward the castle with a mix of fear and wonder. The tingling at the base of his skull had become almost constant now, reminding him that this place was unlike anything they had ever experienced. At the entrance to the castle was an arched doorway that seemed to call to them. It was covered in glowing symbols that shifted and danced, never staying still long enough to understand. Clara stepped forward, her eyes scanning the symbols. her hands brushing lightly over the glowing surface. "It's like they're alive," she said, her voice filled with awe. "I've never seen anything like this." As if responding to her touch, the doorway began to pulse with light, and then, slowly, it opened. A cool breeze blew out from inside, carrying the scent of something familiar, something that made James think of home. "Let's go," James said, his voice steady, though his heart raced with excitement and fear. Together they stepped through the doorway into the unknown. Inside, the castle was even more amazing than they had imagined. It was a maze of twisting hallways and grand rooms, filled with light and shadows that seemed to move on their own. Strange creatures, like small glowing wisps, floated through the air, their light casting patterns on the walls. They passed rooms filled with treasures, golden trinkets, jeweled crowns, and strange artifacts from worlds they could only dream of. But none of it tempted them. They were here for something else, something deeper. As they moved through the castle, James began to feel the tingling in his mind grow stronger. It wasn't just a feeling anymore, it was a voice, a whisper that seemed to come from the very walls around them. It called to him, urging him forward, deeper into the heart of the castle. "Do you hear that?" James asked, turning to Amelia, who was walking beside him. She nodded, her eyes wide. "It's like it's calling to us." The others nodded as well, each of them hearing the same whisper, feeling the same pull. It was as if the castle itself wanted them to find something hidden within its depths. "We need to keep going," Clara said, her eyes shining with determination. "There's something here, something important. I can feel it." They moved deeper into the castle, the air growing cooler, the light dimmer. The whispers grew louder, guiding them down a narrow hallway that seemed to stretch on forever. At the end of the hallway was a door, a simple wooden door. Unlike anything else they had seen in this strange place. James reached out, his hand trembling as he touched the door. The wood was warm under his fingers, and he felt a pulse of energy, like a heartbeat, as the door slowly swung open. Inside was a small room, empty except for a single pedestal in the center. On the pedestal sat a glowing orb, its light pulsing in time with the whispers in their minds. James felt a sense of awe wash over him as he stepped into the room, the others following close behind. "What is it?" Hiroshi asked, his voice barely a whisper. Clara moved closer, her eyes fixed on the orb. It's like a memory," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "A memory of this place, of everything that has ever happened here." James felt a pull, an urge to touch the orb, to understand the secrets it held. He reached out, his fingers brushing against the smooth surface, and in that moment, the world around them exploded with light. Images flashed before their eyes, scenes of worlds they had never seen, of creatures both beautiful and terrifying. They saw the rise and fall of civilizations, the birth of stars, the endless dance of the universe. And through it all, they felt a deep connection, a sense of belonging, as if they were a part of something much greater than themselves. Tears filled James's eyes as the images faded, the light dimming until they were once again standing in the small room. He turned to his crew, seeing the same awe and emotion reflected in their faces. "We were meant to find this," Clara said, her voice trembling. "This is why we're here, to understand, to be a part of something greater." James nodded, his heart swelling with a mix of joy and sadness. He knew now that they could never truly go back to the way things were before. They had seen too much, experienced too much. But he also knew that they were not alone, that they had each other, and that together they could face whatever lay ahead. "Let's take this with us," he said, his voice filled with determination. "We have a mission, and this is part of it." They carefully took the glowing orb, its light dimming as they carried it out of the room. As they made their way back through the castle, James felt a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in a long time. They were explorers, dreamers, and they had found something that could change everything. As they stepped back into their cardboard ship, James looked at his crew, his friends, his family, and felt a deep sense of gratitude. They had come so far, faced so much, and yet they were still here, still together. "All right, children of the abyss," he said, his voice steady and filled with hope. "Let's see where this journey takes us next." With that, they set sail once more, the glowing orb lighting their way as they drifted into the unknown, ready for whatever wonders and challenges awaited them in the endless expanse of imagination. Their cardboard ship floating across a sea of swirling colors. The glowing orb they had found in the castle pulsed gently, lighting their way. They felt like they were on the edge of something amazing, something that would change how they saw the universe forever. The days seemed to blend together in this magical place, where time flowed differently. As they sailed, the orb began to grow warmer, its light brighter, as if it was leading them somewhere important. They could all feel it, a pull, a sense of purpose. It was guiding them, and they trusted it. One morning, or maybe it was evening, it was hard to tell, the ship began to slow. They were approaching something new, a large island surrounded by shimmering mist. The island looked like it was made of crystal, reflecting the colors of the sky and the sea. It was beautiful, but there was something different about it, something that felt both welcoming and powerful. "This must be where the orb wants us to go," James said, his voice filled with a mix of awe and determination. He looked at his crew, who all nodded in agreement. They anchored their ship by the shore and stepped onto the crystal ground. It was cool under their feet, and the air was filled with a gentle humming sound, like a song that had no beginning or end. The orb in James's hands pulsed faster, its light growing even brighter, as if it recognized this place. "I think we're meant to follow it," Clara said, her eyes shining with excitement. She glanced at the others, and they all shared the same look, a mix of fear, wonder, and hope. They followed the orb as it led them deeper into the island. The path wound through crystal forests and over bridges made of light. Everything seemed to glow with an inner radiance, and the whispers they had heard in the castle were back, guiding them, encouraging them to keep moving forward. Finally, they reached the center of the island, where a great crystal tower rose into the sky. The orb pulsed even faster now, its light almost blinding. At the base of the tower was a door, similar to the one in the castle, simple, wooden, yet filled with a sense of importance. James stepped forward, his heart pounding, and placed his hand on the door. The door swung open, and inside they found a large, open room. In the center was a pedestal, similar to the one they had seen in the castle, but this time there were 5 smaller orbs surrounding a larger one. Each orb glowed with a different color: red, blue, green, yellow, and purple. The larger orb in the middle shone with a bright white light, and as they entered the room, the orb they carried floated out of James's hands and joined the others, fitting perfectly into place. The room filled with light, and they were surrounded by visions once again. But this time the images were different. They saw themselves, their journey, their discoveries, their fears, and their hopes. They saw the moments of doubt and the moments of courage that had brought them to this place. They saw the connection between them, the bond that had formed over their journey, and they understood that this was the true power of the orb, the power of unity, of shared dreams and experiences. Tears filled James's eyes as he looked at his friends, his family. They had come so far, faced so much, and now they stood on the edge of understanding something far greater than themselves. The light grew brighter, and they all felt a warmth spreading through them, filling them with a sense of peace and purpose. "This is why we're here," Clara whispered, her voice filled with emotion. "Not just to explore, but to understand, to connect with each other and with the universe." Amelia nodded, her eyes wet with tears. "It's like we're a part of something so much bigger, all of us together." Alexander, usually so serious, smiled a real, happy smile. "We found our purpose," he said, "and it's more beautiful than I ever imagined." Hiroshi stepped forward, his eyes fixed on the glowing orbs. "We need to take this understanding back with us," he said, his voice filled with determination. "Back to our world, to share it with others. This isn't just for us, it's for everyone." James nodded, his heart swelling with pride and love for his crew. "You're right, Hiroshi. We can't keep this to ourselves. We have to share it to let others see what we've seen." As they spoke, the larger orb in the center began to pulse, its light growing even brighter until it filled the entire room. The warmth they felt grew stronger, and they all closed their eyes, letting the light wash over them. They felt themselves changing, not physically, but deep inside. Their fears, their doubts, their worries seemed to fade away, replaced by a sense of hope and purpose. When they opened their eyes, they were back on their ship, the orbs nowhere in sight, but they could feel the change within them, the understanding, the connection. The island was still there, glowing softly in the distance, but the mist was beginning to thicken, slowly hiding it from view. James looked at his crew, his friends, and smiled. "We have what we need," he said, his voice steady. "Let's go home." They set sail once again, the mist closing in around them, the island fading from sight. But the light they had found, the understanding they had gained, stayed with them. As they sailed through the swirling colors and changing landscapes, they knew that their journey was far from over, that they had a mission to share what they had learned, to bring hope and connection to others. The Stellaris VII drifted through the endless expanse of imagination, the crew no longer just explorers of the unknown, but messengers of something greater. They had faced the abyss, and they had found light, a light that would guide them and others for the rest of their lives.